We are now live. Live. This is Semaj MindSpa live. And this is the first in terms of where we are now. We want to welcome individuals, participants, persons which are interested in sharing this concept. This has been a long time coming. You know, I started my involvement in media way back. My first show was called The Night Doctor. And as a psychologist, I was largely impacted by a Ghanaian writer called Leahcim, where he had published a book about the same year or the year before I arrived at Cornell University, joined faculty. This was back in 1979. The book was called The Healers, and that book has impacted my life significantly. Leahcim was the author, and he talks about healing one person is one of the easiest things to do. Anyone can do that. But the ultimate work of a healer is to heal the nation, to heal the people. Because when a nation isn't being as responsive, positive, supportive, developmental as it should be, the whole body needs healing. And that has impacted my professional life to a large extent, where the whole notion of just as a psychologist sitting in an office and trying to help people one at a time has never really interested me, because I understand that the nature of the problem, the issue, and in terms of what we need to do in our communities, in our families, in our countries, in the world, the healing that is required. Hence, the MindSpa, live, the MindSpa. So we created the MindSpa. The idea was to share ideas, concepts, wisdom that we could use to help people heal, help the nation heal, where you are. Now, I am a quantum transformation psychologist. Also, a number of publications. I am a spiritual guide, because I do believe that a lot of the problems that we have are indeed spiritual in nature. So I'm a spiritual guide to help persons to work through these things that connect us with the universe. I'm a social philosopher. The social systems that require understanding, requires alignment. I'm also a management consultant, because there are human problems involved in business systems. And for over the last 40 years, I have assisted many companies with their human problems. Hiring, promoting, marketing, productivity, all the ways in which this happens. Very important. So we have built a name around this, but now the MindSpa is what I really am committed to. How can we take this information and make it available to the public? What can we do with this? Well, if you go back, this song about man, know thyself. Man, know thyself. It was Pythagoras that we attribute that concept of man, know thyself. And the whole notion that if you delve within and beyond, go beyond the walls, go outside, you'll start to unravel the thoughts, both deep and wide, where consciousness and unconscious hide. Because there are issues that we need to get beyond, we need to find our way through them. But that's not the only thinker who has helped move us in that direction. It is suggested by Socrates that again, the beginning of wisdom is self-knowledge, knowing yourself. Man, know thyself. Observation that the world in which we dwell, its norms and tales seek to tell. Society's pulse, its ebb and flow, reflects the seed that we all sow. Very important. But again, it begins with self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is the beginning of the whole process. This idea has built over time. And we also hear the Venerable Madiba, Nelson Mandela. And he has suggested that, listen, there are forces at work that help and need us. So the beginning of wisdom, again, to learn to know yourself, to search realistically for the things that are out there and in there. Very important. Perceive the forces vast and grand. What do they do? These forces help to shape who we are. Economies, beliefs, and power influence each other passing hour. We need to. So this is why it's important for us to begin with self-knowledge, and then the result of that, we can now expand it to the rest of the world. Man, know thyself. It starts there, but then it expands in terms of the rest of the world. It begins there, but then we can't leave out Marcus Messiah Garvey, who says that, look, the whole process of knowing yourself, what comes out of that is that you ultimately understand your worth, your self-worth. And when you start valuing yourself, you really make a big difference in terms of how you allow others to respond to you. In knowing self and the world today, you chart a course, a clearer way, with insight as your guiding light, transform the dark into bright. So it begins with self-knowledge, but then it doesn't end there. That's the starting point, but you're able to go beyond in terms of what is required, what is necessary. So here we are, Semaj MindSpa live. So each Wednesday at this time, we will share some of this information with you all. So we believe that there are persons of like-minded. There are persons who believe that the power lies within them, but maybe they need further information to release this power, act on this power. Very important. So this is indeed critically important that we share these ideas. So on a Wednesday at this time, we will do so. Bring the MindSpa alive. But every day you can log on to my blog, the Semaj MindSpa blog, semajmindspa.com, and we share insights, we share ideas to help you better understand yourself, better understand the world around you, better understand the forces that are shaping your life, so that you can see what you need to do to become the best version of yourself. Now, what do we mean by this? Why a MindSpa? Why a mind spa? The two terms have meaning in and of themselves, but then put them together. The mind is associated with the total understanding of consciousness and the unconscious processes that help to explain who we are. So that goes beyond being said. Spa, however, is a different concept. We associate the concept of spa with optimal wellness, but also the removal of toxin. So what does the mind spa do? Because if we are optimal in terms of our mental processes and so on, but then there are times there are going to be toxins coming in. How do we get rid of them? Very important that be part of the process. So you get rid of them. So here's what we do at the Mind Spa. It's a sanctuary for mental clarity and spiritual rejuvenation. Themes of personal transformation are shared. Cultural evolution is facilitated, and a holistic approach to well-being. Again, this overriding theme, becoming the best version of yourself. We share introspective essays and thought-provoking reflections. We encourage the exploration of the depth of consciousness, so you understand the forces that are driving you and shaping you, and take responsibility for those forces. We challenge societal norms. Oftentimes, these shape you, but then you can also help to shape them and others around you. Ultimately, we embrace a life of purpose and integrity, so that we can move forward, upward, onward. Again, that's my overriding theme, the best version of self. Does that sound like where you are? Does that sound like what you are trying to become? We created this for individuals who are committed to self-discovery. Again, I am acting on the premise that there are individuals out there who are committed to self-discovery. They want to understand themselves better, how to become the best version of who they are. I also believe that there are professionals who are aiming for ethical leadership. They want to do things in their organizations, they want to do things in their families, grounded in ethical principles. I also believe that there are thinkers out there, people interested in the interplay between culture, intellect, and spirituality. It's amazing, the amount of forces out there and what they're actually doing and not doing. The amount of information we have out there and how much of it is destructive. How much is just about empty titillation? That's indeed the case. So we want to add something more to it to make sure that we can do something positive with our life. We can impact situations. Very important. Now, how do we do this? The Mind Spa. That's where we are now, and that's what we do with this. So whether you're navigating on a personal level, your personal growth, or you're seeking deeper meaning, or striving to make a positive impact on your world, we offer assistance. We can inspire and help you to guide that journey because it's necessary. They say, if you go with someone else, you can travel faster and much further. The Mind Spa. So today we want to look at some strategies for not just striving, but survive to a higher level. Strategies to survive, but beyond that, to strive. We're in an era which is almost shaped by anxieties, fears, uncertainties, which I believe is there's a conspiracy, it is special design to bring out the worst in us. But we can do things to go beyond this. So what we're trying to do, help you to work to become an architect of the future. Fashioned not by your fears, but by your vision of what the future can be. Fashioned by courage and hope. Even now, beneath the surface of struggle, there are seeds of greatness in every one of us taking root. So the idea is that we can do this step by step. We can do this as we move forward to get to the next level. Life can't be just one of just wallowing in fear. We can do better. So here's the plan today. The idea is there's steps that we can take to get this done. Steps that we can take. The one is says, master your mind. Move from panic to pronoun. This can be done. So let's indeed just think about this for a few minutes and to see how we can let this seep in. Okay, so what we're doing now, we're gonna try and find a way. How can you go beyond just surviving and striving in these times when there's so many forces which are conspiring for you to live in fear and trauma and grief and uncertainty, and not to mention tariffs, not to mention wars? How can you regain control of your space? Well, number one, as we say here, master your mind. So you can move from panic to pronoia. Now, pronoid is a term that I've always been using, because this term is so critical. You know the term paranoid, huh? It's irrational belief that things are working against you. But there's an option to be pronoid, huh? Which is a new approach to mental wellness. That things are working for us. And you start to see everything as working in your favor. Hmm? How about that? Master your mind. Hmm? How do you do this? Recognize that fear-driven thought. That's what panics are. Thoughts driven by fear, trying to induce you to do things that are not necessarily in your best interest. Hmm? We can shift our perspectives. We can now choose to believe that the universe is conspiring for us, not against us. That's what it means to be pronoid. Hmm? Every single thing I perceive to be working in my interest, working for me. So, what's the daily affirmation to get to this? Just remind yourself each day everything happening is guiding me to my higher good. Irrespective of how it may seem at the moment, but everything happening is part of that conspiracy. Now, if you go to my MindSpa blog, there is an article, the title of it, From Panic to Pronoia, a new path to mental wellness, where this is spelled out in much detail so you can understand how this process works. All right? Step one. Can you work with that? Let's move to step two. Step two, you strengthen your emotional core. You build resilience. Again, we write about this. On the blog, you will find articles that look at how you build the strength to strive in a changing world. There's a thing called resiliency. I like to use the contrast a bamboo with a breadfruit or a mango tree. During the storm, the bamboo bends, sometimes all the way down to the ground. But then when the storm ceases, it comes right back up. On the other hand, the mango tree, the breadfruit tree resists and the wind snaps it. Resiliency is getting back on the path. Now, what's the strategy? How do we do this? Normalize setback as part of growth. You will have things that divert you from the path, that stop your forward movement, but it's just part of the process. You just see it as just a part of the process. Minor diversion, pause, but doesn't mean the end. What do? We practice emotional regulation. We pause, we breathe, we reframe, and move forward. We develop supportive networks. You are resilient, but not solitary. So that the wonderful thing about the world we now live in, is that you can see situations whereby, without even being in direct physical contact, we can be in emotional and in social contact with a universe of people. Coming out of COVID, when we started using Zoom and other platforms, for work, we can now use it as part of our life. So using your social media option, using those platforms, using WhatsApp to keep you in contact, keep you around people who can help to build and strengthen you. Absolutely important. Step 3. Again, the blog post tells us we can have a number of spiritual practices, and I outlined 7 practices that we can use to overcome fear and anxiety. So we can embrace these practices to overcome the anxiety that bombards you from all angles. What is the strategy involved here? You want a daily gratitude journal. I start my day with gratitude. Just from the opening my eyes, I give thanks for that. Just for taking my first breath, I give thanks for that. At the end of the day, you find that there's so many things that you can be grateful and you should be grateful for. Practice mindful breathing and meditation as you go through the day. Trust in uncertainty as part of life's divine order. Uncertainty is also part of the process. This issue, I don't know. That's the beginning of wisdom. I don't know. That's the process begins there. Focus on things that you can, as opposed to those that you can't. What are the things that are in your control? Just again, I like to remind myself, that without much fanfare or concern, you trust that your next breath will come. Without much fanfare or fear, you trust that when you go to sleep, the next day, the sun will rise. And as long as you have been alive, that has not been anything but so. So why do you have fear now? Why do you think it's going to happen different now? Embrace these practices so you can not just thrive. Step 4. Find or create your ultimate career. Too many of us are stuck in areas that we don't want to be. We didn't plan to be, but we're there and we don't know how to get out of it. We don't know what to do about it. So why not start to find your why? Your why. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you do what you do? What are your most important intentions each morning? Why? Why? What are the ways in which you can make meaningful contribution, even in small acts? And when you start feeling these things and sensing these things, you will now find the way to, how can you trade your time for something much more substantive? Why are you spending a whole day doing things that bring nothing back to you and probably do nothing for the world around you? That's the important thing. Purpose and direction in your life to make sure that you're going in a direction that you are desiring of. Especially when you combine the things that, 1, you enjoy what you do. 2, the world needs it. 3, you can get paid, because it's important when you align all of those components in terms of the ultimate. We go to step 5. Conquer your financial fear. Too many times people focus on lack, The blog posts that we draw from here, again, anytime you can go back and check on these Semaj MindSpa blog. Don't fear big expenses. Don't fear spending. The fear is low income. Too many of us limit ourselves in terms of what we can earn. But once you become aware that the problem lies there, you now know how to get around it. Strategies. Invest in skills that raise your earning potential. Look, you're never too old. What are the new skill sets that you are now becoming comfortable with? AI? Have you started to figure out whatever the work you're doing, how you can incorporate that? What can you do to increase your earning potential? What investment are you looking at? Investment in self? Investment in your business? No, things that you can plant new seeds. You're never too old. Because if you're not doing this, you're not growing. What about multiple streams of income, no matter how small they be? Are you looking towards creating more streams of income? Especially those that are passive, that you are able to continue growing and earning even when you're sleeping. So the issue is not the limitations, but the ones that you put on yourself by limiting your income stream. There are times, you're the one that have to move. The wonderful thing, we are not trees. So if you're in a community, if you're in a space, if you're in a town, if you're in a country, and the skill set you have is not needed there, what does it say? Move. You're not a tree. It can be done. Next step. Step number 6. You want to develop flexibility and adaptability. Again, we've written about this. How you apply flexibility and adaptability to the world of work. What are the strategies that you bring to bear on this? Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be broken. If you don't flex, you will break. You need to reframe obstacles as opportunities to learn and pivot. Something happens and something comes across your way. Something prevents your forward motion. That's not the end of the world. It's a subtle sign. Sometimes it's not so subtle that you need to try something else. You need to. There's this understanding that 95% of new business fail within 5 years. But failure is not tragic. Many times failure means just try it slightly different. A little different. A little different. So it's important for us to practice micro adaptations daily. Try new routines, new tools, new habits. Without this flexibility, you will not thrive. At best, you will survive. We have work to do. Time for 7. Step 7 on this MindSpa. What do we do now? Live with spiritual awareness. Trust the journey. Sometimes you don't see the entire path. There's an understanding, that you should live your life as a spiritual being. Because I remind people, even myself at times, whenever you can see a clear path in front of you, that's not your path. Your path has to be created by you. And as you approach the path, it will become clearer. What's the strategy? See beyond immediate appearances. Trust that unseen forces are guiding you. Back to that notion of being pronoid. One of the best ways to enable this is spending time in nature, which allows you to reconnect with the divine force. This way, you see that nature has a pattern to it and a process, and we as part of it can get the same benefits. Step 7. Step 8. Cultivate daily mental fitness. You know, the blog reference that I have, if you check my Semaj MindSpa blog, social media and mental fitness. They're ways that we need to and must if we are to thrive in the digital age. Strategies are so basic that sometimes we overlook them. It's important to curate your digital diet. Limit doom scrolling. How much time do you spend on television? How much time do you spend on social media? How much time do you spend on forces that are just trying to make you even more fearful, more frightened? Many times we spend much too much time in these areas. Do you consume uplifting, educational, and hopeful content? You have that choice. It is one thing for people to create things to terrify you, to depress you, to infuriate you. You can choose not to consume it. What's important is that you also have a day, at least one day per week, preferably more, to digitally detox yourself, reset yourself. You know, what I like to use as my theme for that is from Kendrick Lamar's song, Turn the TV Off. Turn the TV off. Because that detox is necessary to reset your nervous system. The fear and the concern that drive us unnecessarily. Step 9. Care and respect for others. Very important. Care and respect. That's where the empathy comes in. We are all in this thing together, and there's someone next to you, around you, can be having a harder day than you. What are you doing to make sure their day is a little lighter? This thing called empathy is a powerful antidote to fear and isolation. Empathy. Can you put yourself in another man's perspective? Can you see what they're going through too? Can you strengthen the bonds by being a little kinder, especially in these times of uncertainty? As your community becomes more resilient, there'll be less fear as we band together, as we help each other. There's so many things that we can do to strengthen each other, because you have you in your small part living in fear and frightened and scared. Person next to you feeling exactly the same way, but collectively and together, you can be much stronger. And why not? It can be done. It can be done. The final step, you anchor yourself in a vision for the future. Not just be bombarded by what has happened in the past. You know, again, I like to remind people that there's a reason why the windscreen is big, especially as compared to the rearview mirror. The past is where we're coming from. We're not going that direction anymore. And the blog reference, yes, the title of my book, The Best Is Yet to Come. So how we do this? Visualize your post-crisis success. You visualize where you're going. Visualize what tomorrow, what next week, what next year will become. And visualize that. How about starting a future journal? Start writing your notes from now as if your dreams have all already come true. Call them into being. I am. I am. So in doing this, you focus on becoming, not just on surviving. You focus on becoming. You call into being that which you desire. Oftentimes, we call negatives onto us. How are you? Well, I don't feel too good. I'm not. No, I'm great. The body may not be optimal at this time, but I am great. I am great. So, what's the purpose of all of this? It's a journey we're all on. The purpose of this is to make sure we all get there. You who have decided to choose here and now to share this information, you have heard the quiet call beyond the noise. You have heard the call to awaken. You have heard the call to arise. You have heard the call to strive towards the life you are truly meant to live. So by choosing this path, you have aligned yourself with a deeper flow of life that always moves towards growth. So I wish for you to continue trusting that every step you now take is guided by a wisdom that is greater than fear. Every step you now take is guided by a light which is stronger than any shadow. Is that possible? Or will you give the power to the darkness and to the shadow as opposed to the future and the optimal existence that we all have as possible? You don't need to. It can be done. So how we get there? Remind yourself that you are not alone on this journey. We walk it together, soul by soul, heart by heart. We have the capacity to lift each other higher. Yes, the storms may rage, but within us, the sun is shining. For every day that I've been alive, it has not failed. The best is not some distant dream, it's a living promise. And today, by choosing to strive, we begin to claim that tomorrow will indeed be better than today. Don't let them get you down. It's important for us to work with these feelings, understand it, claim it, and ensure the best comes. So how do we get there? Today I choose growth over fear. That's my affirmation today. Today I choose vision over doubt. Today I choose striving over just surviving. Why? Because I am guided. I am strong. I am becoming. And I know the best indeed is yet to come. So that's the message today from the Semaj MindSpa Live. Hmm? How to strive and not just survive in times of stress, fear, anxiety, tariffs, wars, and other uncertainty. Hmm? So I say, trust it, trust your journey. Hmm? Crisis is the midwife of transformation. So crisis means that new opportunities are trying to emerge. So I want you to join me every week, every Wednesday at this time, where we will share a message drawn from what we do on the MindSpa to help to take you one step higher, one step further. So you can find me at the Semaj MindSpa. I'm Dr. Leahcim Semaj, psychologist, author, speaker, spiritual guide, and management consultant. My role is to help you elevate your life, elevate your career, transform your organization. And we can do this in a safe context where you can explore the challenges. We can do this as consultations at an individual level, or we can do as lectures, as seminars, as workshops to help to get you to the next level, where indeed the best is yet to come.